Welcome to Nerdarchy, for nerds by nerds. I'm Nerdarchist Ted, and today I'm joined by...
Nerdarchy Dave.
And we're going to continue our recovery dice series with the Warlock. Jump down the description below where you can sign up for Nerdarchy the newsletter, get weekly gaming tips, as well as learn how to game with us.
Tick tock, tick tock. We're coming to the end with our recovery dice series, and now we are at Warlock.
All right, so Warlock is interesting. If you've seen all the other videos, you've seen that we talk about whether there's stuff that's going to be linked to the base class, whether it's linked just to the archetypes, a combination. Warlock gave us so many options that it was a little unsettling.
Right, because, if we go with the base class, there's a bunch of things like invocations and spell casting that we could have went with. But then you also have the archetypes, which you get right away with, Pact of the Fiend, Pact of the Great Old One, the Fey Pact. So we could have went with any of those.
But then, you can also look at, all right, well, are we linking it to what specific pact are you making? Pact of the Chains, Pact of the Blade, Pact of the Tome.
Your boons.
Yeah. So it's like you've got these so many different iterations that it was just incredible. And we really had to scale down so that it wasn't like, oh, well, clearly Warlock is the favored because you've got 14 bazillion options.
Right. And now, and one of the other things, because that's 7 places we could have gone to, right? Generic, boons, and patron. So one of the things that we decided when Nate, you, and myself were speaking about doing the Warlock was we did not want to touch Eldritch Blast. It's good enough. There's a bunch of things you can add to it. It's already like the button mash go-to ability in the game if you're a Warlock. So we definitely wanted to stay away from there and go, how can we make other things a bit more interesting?
And I thought about saying, for a generic, can we have something where you can, gain access to another invocation for a short duration. But we wound up going in the direction of, well, let's just stick with the Pact boons because there's enough flavor there, and whichever direction people go, they typically go to it hard.
Right. Well, I mean, the little bit of the disadvantage for us choosing to go this route is this means for the Warlock, you don't get access until 3rd level, but it's okay. We came up with some fun things, I believe, on this one.
So, for the most part, with this whole concept of the series, you can't start spending them till 2nd anyway, because you don't have 2 hit dice till 2nd level, and it's based off of your proficiency dice, or your proficiency bonus, and that's how many hit dice you have to spend in order to access the ability. So, we decided going off of that, limiting it to starting at 3rd level is not too big a deal for the Warlock. So the first one we have is based on Pact of the Tome, and that's begging for power.
So this is clearly the spellcaster of all the Pact boons. It's thematic, it's cool. So how do we work with that and make it interesting and make it useful and make it worth expending this resource? Because let's face it, we're talking about Warlocks. They are used to trading a bit of themselves for power anyway. It's kind of like their whole shtick.
Exactly. Now, the thing about Warlocks is they are spellcasters that have significantly less casting power than everybody else. Or everybody that gets spells, I should say.
They get less spells, but their spells are always stronger. It's this weird spot.
So, since the Pact of the Tome is this line of spellcasters, what if I know it's powerful, rather than restoring spell power, what if we give them a free casting? They use their action, and they literally grovel and beg to their, to their being that has granted them power, and they get access.
Well, or entreat.
However. Roleplay it however you want, but that's the way I see it. I'm literally groveling. And
you're a Warlock. You gave up your dignity along with probably your soul a long time ago.
So you get something off of your Warlock spell list, not the greater list, just your patron spell list cast once.
It's not bad. I think that's going to be beneficial. You know, the cost is enough to make you not want to do it all the time. But you know, just in a time of need, if you haven't taken that spell on there, like you need the fireball, and you know you don't have it on your known spells, but it's you happen to be fiendish, so you can access it. Why not?
Voila, it happens. It goes off, and there you go. I think that's a cool one. I think it's powerful. I think people are gonna seriously chew their fingernails over the. Do I chuck the dice to get a free casting because I'm out, or do I just rely on my cantrips?
Now, for the Pack of the Blade, there was like a little bit of a discussion amongst us of what to name it. So it's like Path of Carnage or Line of Carnage. But we definitely wanted to do something kind of cool with that. And thematically, we came up with some different ideas. One is you kind of just strike with your weapon and, you know, in a line out to 30 feet. You get a chance to hit everything in that path. Or more thematically, like, you know, you take your great sword and you just throw it and it just through the air and then comes back to you, you know, and it has a chance to hit everything once as well.
So whatever you want to call it, I really feel that of the warlock, a lot of people, because you get to just be proficient in whatever weapon you choose, a lot of people really like the Pact of the Blade. But I think once you start getting some serious levels, you just become meh because you're just not being able to do as much damage with your weapon as you can with spells.
You have better options than hitting it with your axe.
Right.
But in this case, maybe it'd be more appealing because you can hit everything in front of you with your axe.
So a 30-foot line in front of you, you make an attack roll on everything, and whether you throw it, whether you swing it weird, describe it however you want, but we've got the line of carnage, and it's awesome. It's your action to do so, and you spend the resources as part of it, and you can hurt lots of stuff.
Yeah, we're trying to make the warlock want to use that weapon again. So the last one, I like this one. I think this is the most fun one that we actually came up with, and that is the Master of Many Chains.
I really like this one as well. So since you get a familiar, how cool would it be for you to, for the duration, be like, all right, I'm gonna just reach out and I'm gonna have more.
Well, here's the thing too, and the problem with the Pack of Chains, it's it's fairly weak in comparison to the other ones, and literally it ends up being like pack of spell resistance. Let's face it, right? Like you want to get a familiar that's gonna give you spell resistance, and like that is like the whole purpose of taking it. So like, how can we make it more interesting, more fun for this warlock? To actually want to use his familiar in more interesting ways. And that's the other thing. Like you don't want your familiar killed, so you're gonna have to come in and go and resummon it and all that jazz. So we're like, well, what if?
What if you had the ability to, as I said, get more? So we thought about like having it a variable number, D6 plus one or D3 plus one.
1D100.
So we settled on, because they're a varying power. Now, technically, there's nothing to say that you couldn't choose Bunny or whatever have you as your familiar. You really want the Quasit, the Imp, the Sprite, maybe, or the Pseudo Dragon. So with that, you get 2 CR worth of whatever your familiar is summoned to do your bidding.
It's not necessarily 2 CR, but as per the summoning spell, and it's usually 2 CR or below is how it works, and it breaks down. But yeah, you would use the same math that you would for summoning, or any of the conjure spells.
So like your Imp, that's a CR1, you would get 2 of them, and you have your familiar, so technically you now have 3, but the Pseudo Dragon's a half, right?
I believe so, yeah.
So that you would wind up with 4. So you'd have 4 Pseudo Dragons to go wreak havoc and have fun with.
Where that gets fun is the Gazer is a new familiar option. And that's also a half, I believe. And you can get 4 of them, and you can be like, I rain the frig out of people, but like they don't really do much, so it's just really annoying. But you could annoy the heck out of them for a while. Or you could go the other route and summon a swarm of sprites. But who really takes the sprite familiar?
I dig the Fey angle of stuff. I know it's really underpowered, and I think they wanted to have something that was Fey-like,
Yeah.
just to be able to have it. So yeah,
But it's literally the weakest choice of the weakest choice of your boons, and there lies the problem. It's like, can I get a imp and re-flavor it as a pixie? So it doesn't super suck.
Well, and if you've got a cool DM, most times they'll allow that. I mean, all you got to do is like, well, it's a sprite noble, or it's a sprite that's been around the block a handful of times, and maybe it doesn't like palling around with you, but you tricked it into servitude. Lots of fun.
Or it's like a Dresden Files sprite, or maybe they're pixies. But either way, you can make it better. But what do you guys think? Is this a fun idea you would use in your game? We got a place for it. That's called the comments. While you're down there, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
You can support us over on Patreon.
So until next time,
Stay nerdy.